board meeting. Before we get started, make sure if you have a cell phone that it's silenced. If you have any citizen statements, they're limited to 5 minutes, and list your name and address, and roll call.
Franz.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Metz.
Here.
Millet.
Here.
Ugar. Hudak.
Here.
5 present.
The mayor did let me know he was not feeling well today. So.
All right, so the approval of the November 13 minutes. It has been a while. If anyone has any concerns, questions,
Nope.
Move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Right, I can do that?
Keep rolling.
All right, new business. We're going to discuss the comprehensive outdoor recreational plan, also known as the CORP, update including goals and objectives. Ray, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Well, I'm not sure how many of you have been on here more than the 5 years when we did the last CORP update, but basically our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, or CORP, is our master plan for the entire park system. That document we need to update and revise every 5 years in order to remain eligible for grant funding, primarily through DNR funding and other grants and so forth. So we are at that 5-year period that we need to do our update. We have entered into an agreement with Rettler Corporation. Rettler, this is their third time working with us on this document, so they're very familiar and have a lot of the mapping and a lot of the background information. So we started working with them towards the end of 23, and both John and Rebecca are here from Rettler, and they will kind of take us through what we've done so far, where we're at in the process, and then over the next couple months, where we're headed to. We're expecting this process to take us most likely into June of this year. We'll be starting, I'm working with Rebecca right now on getting some survey questions together that we're going to get out to the community and get public input that way. This board, most likely every meeting going on forward till June, we'll most likely have it on the agenda, so we'll be able to take public comment here as well. So I would like to have John, I think, is going to come up, and he can kind of start walking us through the process and kind of tell us where we're headed to.
Sounds good. All right. Ray's got the presentation there. Thank you, Ray. Again, my name is John Kinnear, president of Rettler Corporation. We're a landscape architecture, civil engineering, and planning firm out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Been working with Ray all 14 years that you've been here with the city of Oshkosh. So Rebecca and I completed the last revision together with Ray, currently working on this current version. So as Ray mentioned, we are very familiar with the community, the parks, the mapping, the document prior, and have really gotten into reviews of the parks very efficiently. We've made a lot of updates too, completing corps for other communities that we're integrating into this version of the corp to keep current. Again, DNR grant funding, very important. And as Ray mentioned, I don't know how many of you were involved with the last one. There's quite a few new faces here since then. So really, why are we doing this besides the grant funding? Parks, as you know, being the advisory parks board, very important piece of the community. They provide public open space recreation facilities, and that's important because it really reflects your community image. It gives your community members a place to go to promote health, safety, and welfare in the community. Your leisure time opportunities, providing access. This document looks at service area and looks at future areas. Contributes to the social interaction and community involvement within the community. Parks protect and celebrate your community history and identity. Preserves natural resources and connections to nature. For a lot of people, that's their only connection to the outdoors through parks. It contributes to effective stormwater management in your community. And it's an economic benefit. Really, that curb appeal of your community, having great parks, is an economic benefit. So good planning is essential to that, so having a corp on file. Next slide. What is a corp? So a corp is a formal document. It's designed to assist in communities' planning and development of parks and open space, and assess your open space and parks that you currently have. So the main elements of a corp are to establish park-related goals and objectives. That's what we're going to be reviewing today. And I'll go through the sections of the book next. It updates our demographic information about the city of Oshkosh, inventories what you have, analyzes park and recreation needs. And again, like Bray mentioned, we're going to be reaching out to the community through surveys, through different metrics, what's current in the S-Corp, the state comprehensive plan for trends in parks and recreation development. Customizes recommendations. We'll put those together after we get our feedback. And then we integrate the recommendations for improvements into a capital improvement plan. Each project is described and then given prioritization for when it should be developed, 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, so short, medium, and long term. And then looks for potential funding opportunities. And as Ray mentioned, it's required for grant funding. That's the main piece of why we update it every 5 years. So if we look at the parts of the document, a lot of this is dictated by the DNR requirements for the Corp, each section here. The part that we're going to be looking at today, our goals and objectives, are part of section 1, the introduction. We do have our current draft here, the 24 to 28 draft underway. It'll be probably 3 times thicker than that when we're done. But that'll have all the input, appendices, all that data at your fingertips. It's a very user-friendly document. As we like to say, it's a tool in your toolbox for looking at the future of parks funding and communicating with council and others for budgeting in the future. The other section, so the introduction, we have that part of the draft completed. Our community description and parkland inventory. We did tour the parks again before winter hit. We got to get out, take a look at what's been done since the last Corp has been completed, and then look at what other improvements we'd like to include. So we've completed that. Then we'll be looking at, as I mentioned, the analysis, the needs assessment with the survey going out soon. Again, we'll be able to then make recommendations, look at implementation of those recommendations, and then provide references for grants and grant funding opportunities and appendices with all the data. So again, we're going to be looking at goals and objectives tonight. What I'll do is review the category and goal. There's quite a few objectives that go along with that. You've got copies of this. As we go through tonight, note a few things that you might want to look at for future meetings to look at. But really, this takes our previous document with slight updates to it. I just want to review that and then get some feedback from the group tonight. So categories of goals and objectives. First, land acquisition. The goal is to maintain an adequate amount of active and passive recreation lands to meet current and future recreational needs. That'll coincide with our future land use and acquisition maps that we're going to be providing here, looking where growth is occurring in the city. Park facilities, our goal for that is to provide adequate facilities at all parks within the city's park system as dedicated by park use and type. So we'll be looking at all the neighborhood community park facilities and looking at the facilities within each park and condition so that all parks are being maintained and improved equally. Shared services, we look at the goal of coordinating development efforts and the use and maintenance of recreational facilities among the city of Oshkosh. So that includes Oshkosh Area School District, UW-Oshkosh, Winnebago County, surrounding communities, and public and private recreation associations. So we'll be looking at those and seeing if there's any new opportunities there. For park development, we want to promote the benefits of larger neighborhood community parks, which provide a wide range of facilities. Preservation along with development, where we look at preservation. The goal there is to preserve environmentally sensitive and historically significant areas within the city. For amenities, we want to look at providing residents with safe, reliable recreation equipment and amenity throughout the city park system. And then funding. Our goal there is to use all available sources of funds and volunteer efforts, so the neighborhood committees, et cetera, that have been successful in the past to further enhance the quality of the city's park system. A subdivision review, coordinate subdivision review with all departments and all departments and boards to ensure that adequate park facilities are being provided. So as our community grows, that's what we want to look at, and then coordinate with our other departments.
Just two items I
Yep.
want to touch on, John. Go back to the funding.
Yes.
If you take a look at some of the objectives, and this is really for the board, part of our current corp suggested that we take a look at our fees in lieu of land dedication and take a look at updating those. They have not been updating in quite some time. And when we get to the second item on the agenda, you'll get a little bit more information about fees in lieu of parkland dedication. But also you'll take a look that it says consider implementing a parks, playgrounds, and land for athletic fields impact fee to help develop facilities. That would be something new here in the city. We're coordinating with our planning department. We've hired a consultant to come in and take a look at our fees in lieu of land dedication to see where those should potentially be increased, but also taking a look at potentially an impact fee. An impact fee actually is a fee that developers pay per lot or per residential unit that gets segregated into a fund for then developing that parkland. So we're working on a couple things at the same time as we're doing this document. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And then just under the subdivision review, that's something we do all the time with our planning staff. And like I said, it's number 2 on the agenda, part of that process as well, so.
Yep, and then that's going to all come back to the service area maps and looking at where growth is. So again, the document is going to be a tool for those discussions. And then our next category, forestry. The goal there is to maintain the citywide urban forestry program. I believe, Travis, you provided some comments on this for us already, so thank you for that. In our objectives area. In budgeting, adopt adequate park budgets that can financially address existing park needs and allow for future land acquisition and the future development within the park facilities. Trails, providing residents with a multi-purpose trail system that utilize environmental corridors and provide linkages between parks and other appropriate features within and outside of the city. Rouge Park is one of those projects that are successfully being completed right now. As an example, in grounds maintenance, goal to be maintain parks to provide quality recreation for residents and reduce the likelihood of hazards. So just keeping up on grounds and maintenance. Planning, the goal there is to maintain a current comprehensive outdoor rec plan. I think we can check that box by being here this evening. And then water-based recreation, finally. What we want to do there with this is to promote water-based recreation, fishing, boating, and swimming, the piers and whatnot that we have throughout the community, providing and maintaining those opportunities. So those are the main categories that we've developed. Those are the main goals. As Ray mentioned, there's a lot of objectives there that go along with that. Rather than read through each of those this evening, I think if you do have a suggestion or so, or you've had that, we can open it up now. If you'd like to do that, Ray,
Sure.
For any comments.
Yeah, again, this is a document that's going to come back to this board multiple times over the next 6 months. And I know that some of you may have taken some time to look at the objectives. If you have questions or comments, or if you got things that you might want to have us take a look at adding, you can throw those out here now, or take it home,
Right.
read through it a little bit more, make some notes, and continue to bring that back to us. So,
Yep, because we'll be back. We'll be back giving you more updates. This is update number 1 for you, just to let you know where we're at in the front end of the process. Really getting our feet on the ground if there's any big shifts in goals and objectives to establish that now. But really, I think you have a very good baseline for continuing to promote the health and wellness of the parks, to continue to promote the health and wellness of the community. But yeah, we'll be back again, so if you do want to provide any feedback from the introduction or the next sections that we review, we'll have more opportunities to do that. But any comments in general, or questions for that matter?
Lester, I saw a highlighter going.
Just highlighting stuff I was thinking about,
Okay.
in the future.
Sure.
And different things that haven't happened but could happen, so.
I will say as well, when you look through the objectives section, you're going to see a couple of documents that are going to be referenced there. One that's going to be new in these goals, if you take a look at page 2 under amenities, it'll be the third bullet point down. Was it 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago, the city, we had a self-assessment for ADA of all city facilities, including all park facilities. So we will be referencing that document throughout here as well, which obviously identifies any obstacles or things that we need to do better to be more accommodating for ADA compliance. So that was one of the big items that got inserted into this current document. But you'll also see that we talk about the bike and pedestrian plan in here, the Fox River Corridor, river walk system. So a number of those plans will be referenced in here as well.
Right. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We look forward to our next update with you, and we'll be continuing to work with Ray and staff on our next sections here, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Anything else for John?
All right.
Nope.
Good. Thank you. Yep.
All right, up next, discuss and recommend accepting fees in lieu of parkland dedication for Lake Butamore Drive development.
All right, I will be tag teaming this item along with Mark Lyons. Mark is our planning services manager for the city. This project out on Lake Butamore Drive has been in the city process for some time, 18 months at least, I believe, Mark.
Yep.
And Mark and I will kind of talk about what's going on. Mark will have a little more information as to the location, and I'll pull that up here. So really, it's out on Lake Butamore Drive. As Highway 45 exits the city out by the Castle Pierce area. What has been proposed out there by a developer is 522 units that would be developed over 6 phases. The plans include a clubhouse with a swimming pool, various open recreational spaces, including a basketball court, internal trail system that will connect to the Wheel Wash Trail eventually. Based on the proposed 522 units, the developer would be required to dedicate 10.78 acres of parkland or pay a fee in lieu of land dedication, which currently with those fees equates to just over $86,000 based on the current subdivision ordinance. As we get into some of the analysis of what we look at, and I'll let Mark come back to this information, but this is the document that's in our existing corp. So this is a map showing areas of the city that, as we continue to grow, areas that we need to look at developing neighborhood parks and community parks. So this map has not changed since I've been here, and I think if we look back in prior corps, it has been very similar, calling for needing community parks up in the northwest portion of the city down here, and let's call it the southwest and southeast. And then you can see there's a number of areas that should also, and some of these we've actually now have parkland, and some of these for neighborhood parks. So as we look at our documents, and when a development like this comes in, up in this area, it's calling for a community park. So you can see there's no major community parks up in that area for us. So as we take a look at the development, instead of requesting the 10 acres or 10.7 acres at this time, our recommendation and planning staff's recommendation is to accept that fee in lieu of. Those fees go into a segregated fund for development and acquisition of future parkland. And then as we continue to work with developments that are going to be taking place up in that area of the city, that's when we will be starting to make that request and that push for that additional community parkland. When we're talking community park acreage, we're talking in the neighborhood of 15 to 30 acres up in that area. So what we are looking at, again, our recommendation based on our current corp is to accept the fees in lieu of. I'll let Mark kind of speak from the planning side of things, and we can take any questions you might have.
Yeah, thank you. So Mark Lyons, Planning Services Manager. As Ray mentioned, we've been working with this developer for a while on the project. To date, council has approved phase 1 of the development. The developer is seeking to do a subdivision plat here, splitting the property into a total of 6 pieces, which necessitates our parkland dedication or fee in lieu of process. As Ray mentioned, it's about 522 total acres. Has a lot of private amenities on site. One of the things we do within the zoning ordinance, there is private recreational space requirements that anytime we deal with multifamily development, they have to add some recreational opportunities directly on site for them. In conjunction with this, as you know, we have these parkland dedication or fee in lieu of requirements. As we started looking at this broader area and looking at your corp plan in conjunction with our comp plan, so the comprehensive plan for the city has long use residential land use patterns, and Ray's got it up on the screen here. This is an area of residential development and residential opportunity to the city as you move to that northwest side of town. We see this as one of our potential and likely growth areas in the future, given that we have some constraints in other areas of the city. So all that light yellow is low density, single family residential. On the Riff Road, we already have a number of residentially platted single family lots with more already pre-platted residential lots, potentially 100 or more, just on the south side of Riff alone, with a vast area on the north side that will likely go single family in the future. So when we look at that long range plan, knowing we're going to have a influx of rooftops out in that area, we want to make sure we site park locations appropriately. This site is at kind of the very southern tip of that area that's identified for that community park. So when we look at the potential land use patterns along with where this site is situated, it's our opinion that it is not the best area to look at trying to get land for a community park. We really should probably be looking at a more centralized location, a location that has better access and is bigger than what this just under 11 acres could provide, given the amount of residential that's likely going to go out in that area. So that's why we're recommending to you that you look at fee and lieu of this situation. We think that resource could be better spent finding a more suitable location for your community park that could really serve a lot more residents than being on the very south side of that service area.
Mark, can you kind of show us on the map, and I don't know if you want to take the mouse or what, but maybe some of those open space areas, the clubhouse, the basketball court, those types of things?
So, yeah, as Ray mentioned, internally in the kind of the center of the site here is the clubhouse and pool area. Next to it, they're looking at a basketball court. They still have one open space next to it. They're trying to determine pickleball, green space, what the best is, maybe playground equipment. They have a trail system with 1 and potentially 2 connections, looking at connecting down to the Wheel Wash Trail. They have a large green space internal to the site here. The dog park, I believe, is... I gotta orientate myself. I believe the dog park is planned for this side. They have a small private dog park for within their development. They are a pet-friendly development, so they want to make sure they provide that opportunity. And then finally, they have a large green space here on the east side that they're potentially looking at some programming for as well. So they are building a number of recreational opportunities internal to their development. Any questions with what the project plan is?
So where on that map would the 11 acres be?
So if they were going to do it, we would have to shift the site development around a little bit. It was originally, when we had talked to them, it was on this southern end of the site. But the development plan, if we went with parkland dedication, would have to be modified to fit that requirement.
And if you take a look at the map, you'll see that they're building very close up to wetlands out in that area.
Yeah.
And as we talk about having usable park space, the wetlands will be protected here. They cannot build on those. And it would just reduce the type of uses that we could have in a public park, basically.
What's the overall acreage of the project?
So the total property is almost 70 acres.
Okay.
Of area they're developing on is a little under 20.
Okay.
This area, part of the slough and stuff, is part of their property. So you have, as Ray mentioned, there's wetland floodplain in a large portion of that 70 acres.
Do they have a timeline on the phases that they're doing, or is it?
So phase 1 is anticipated to start this spring. Future phases really depends on the conditions as they build out. They don't have approval from council for those additional phases yet. They have actually filed their plan development process for March, that they're hoping to go through the approval process with council for the future phases. Exact timeline on those is somewhat market driven and construction driven.
Okay. To me, it makes sense to do the in lieu, because like you were saying, it's not a lot of good area for parkland out there anyways, and this way we can gather some funds to purchase land that would be better park area. And their community is served by some of the stuff that they're putting in already with the pool and the green space. And
And if they put the playground in that other spot, then, yeah.
I mean, it's serving that group that's there already, so why try to put a park on a land that's not really good for a park?
I think the other thing we looked at too is, as you go further to the northwest, the existing subdivision that is developed out there already, there are a number of residential dwellings out there as well that would be better served by having something a little bit further to that north and west. Like Mark said, this is really the southern tip of that whole area where we're looking for some type of community park
And
out
that
there.
development by the church out there too.
Correct.
I mean, there's lots of houses going up around there, which should be better served with a park in that area.
I would echo what Lester said. Ditto.
Can you show on the map there, Mark, exactly where the subdivision is being developed?
Yeah,
Becky had a question.
So that subdivision will be like, the development is right in here. And then, as you mentioned, here's that church, the shore preserve area that's been developed. This area is all platted for single-family homes. And then all this light yellow is the future single-family residential area.
Between the roads and the water, it's kind of isolated from other areas too, and even from a walkability standpoint, further up, but, on that Riff Road area would make much more sense.
Yeah, because I see that there's the creek that runs through that whole area there.
542 units is a lot of units for all the phases that they're going through. That's a lot. Right.
Any other thoughts or questions? Because on this one, what we would need is a, excuse me, a recommendation that would go to the Plan Commission and Common Council as part of the planning process moving forward. So that's what we'd be looking for.
Anyone else have any other questions, comments? So it sounds like we're going to recommend in lieu of.
Yeah, I recommend that we take the fees in lieu of the acreage.
I'll second.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Franz,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Millet,
Aye.
Hudak. Aye. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, and let's go on to the 2023 Revenue Facilities Report.
Okay, so I've included all of our areas here for 2023. It's kind of just an overall report, how each of the facilities did as far as sponsorships and donations, visitors. So the first one is for Powell Community Water Park. We get a $5,000 donation there from Winnebago Community Credit Union, which covers all of our special events that we host, as well as our kids camps and yoga at the pool. So that is really helpful to cover the costs of those. You'll see on the left there the different special events that we did. And then we also added the yoga this past year. In 2024, we're going to be adding a morning session of yoga as well. So some of the people who came last year really liked it. We did it at 5 p.m. last year. So what we did this month is we're doing at 5 p.m. in June, July, August, and then one that's going to be at 9 a.m. in the morning. So some of those night people really enjoyed it, but they do better in the morning. So we're going to be kind of offering 2 different times each month for the yoga. So, and then as you'll see, volunteer hours. This is one facility we struggled a little bit with getting volunteers for, but you'll see still it's a value of $826. That helps us out in order to run games and different things that we do at the event. So it's always helpful, any type of volunteers we can get. We had 38,455 visitors this year, and total participants for special events was 859. Any questions on that one? All right.
1,859.
What did I say?
You said 859, 1,859 participants.
Oh, yeah, what Chad said. The next one is for the Leach Amphitheater. So that one you'll see we get in $15,250 worth of sponsorship, which is huge and covers our Tuesday night concerts that we do. The main sponsor of those Tuesday night concerts at the Leach is Verb, a credit union. So that covers our bands that we do. As you remember last year, we used to do 6 kind of smaller concerts, and we decided to go to 3 larger ones, which definitely last year really worked out well, besides one got rained out. But in just those, 2 concerts, you can see the participants goes way up when we can have a little bit of the bigger bands. Some of the other sponsors we have there are for movie nights, June Dairy Days, Touch a Truck. Touch a Truck is always sponsored by Oshkosh Corp, so that is the main sponsor of that event. In donations, we had 13,512. Those come from the events themselves. We always have a donation jar out for those events, as well as some other things that go into that. So again, the events are on the left. June Dairy Days was new in 2023. That event, we're hoping to grow each year. This year we started out small. We do have some good working relations with the dairy group that is going to be partnering with us and helping out with that event, as well as 4-H. So we're looking forward to building that event from year to year. Movie nights, we'll be offering 3 again this summer, 1 in June, July, and August, and as well as the Tuesday night concerts we'll be doing 3 of. So this one you'll see our volunteer value is huge, over $6,000. We have a really great group of retired people mostly who like to work our Brews on the Bay and our Tuesday night concerts. They absolutely love it. They come down, they have a blast, they help load, the barrels with the drinks, they help serve the customers, so they have a lot of fun doing that. June Dairy Day and Touch a Truck also takes a lot of volunteers, and those are usually some of our different area groups and high school kids looking to get community service hours for whatever they have to do it for. So those are big events, which, Touch a Truck brings in over between 2,500 people. So it takes a lot of volunteers to run our different stations that we do there, and crafts and games and things. So definitely a huge number that Kathy Snell works really hard on getting volunteers for all these events. So it really helps us out. Participants for all the events in the Leach was 6,243. And we do the yoga there as well. That went over really well last summer, so we'll continue to do that as well.
And is that at night or in the morning?
That is at night at the Leach, yep. And we have a group that comes in, a private yoga studio that comes in and does those yoga sessions with the participants, so. Any other questions on that one? All right, Children's Amusement Center, we had $2,106 dollars in sponsorships, 300 in donations. So on the left, we have the 3 events we do, the Wild Wild West Days, Carnival Day, and Bubble Bonanza. Those are events that we do during the day, so mostly they're geared towards younger kiddos that, you know, moms or dads or caretakers are off work and bring the kids down. So again, you'll see a fair amount of volunteer hours that offset the cost of those events. Train rides were 10,601 and the water equipment was 552. Any questions about that one? All right, and then the last area is our sponsorships for the Menominee Park Zoo. Again, a really big area that we get sponsorships and donations from. The sponsorships come from a wide variety of different community businesses and organizations that help sponsor our Brews on the Bay, Zooloween, Breakfast with the Bunny. Those are all really big events that we offer, and we definitely need community support in order to run those as fundraisers for the zoo. So we have a lot of good partners that have been with us through the years on those bigger events. So I'll kind of just walk through these. Our Breakfast with the Bunny and Bunny in the Barn, we hosted this year for the first time in 2023 out at Winnebago Expo Building, and that was a perfect location. It's really big in the Expo Center. We could spread out, didn't have to worry about kids with, you know, parents with strollers trying to push around. We've really kind of outgrown a lot of the places we've had it at. We outgrew the Senior Center, the Webster. We did it there 1 year, and they're no longer there. So we kind of went to this site, and we're going to be hosting it there again in 2024. Winnebago County Parks partners with us for the event, so it's been a really great working relationship. And then after the breakfast, we go right outside to do the egg hunt out in all the pole buildings and on the fairgrounds out there. So again, a really nice big area for kiddos to run and find their eggs and things. So you'll see volunteer hours are really important during those events to help serve the meal, help outside with the egg hunt, help clear tables as people are done eating. So it takes a lot of people to run those events. Snooze at the Zoo, we hosted, and we'll again do that in the zoo this year. Our Brews on the Bay, again, a spot that we really have a lot of great volunteers. They love coming down. They come down pretty much every week, the same people. They sign up and just have a lot of fun. So we got some shirts donated for them that say, you know, Brews on the Bay, and they just love coming down and participating in that. So then our Wildlife Wednesday programs, we had 10 of those that we offered in the zoo, and we had 192 daily summer programs. So in 2023, we had a new zoo education coordinator. She is a retired school teacher of 31 years, first grade. So she is quite amazing, and she really took everything up to a new level. She offered about 3 programs a day, whether it was, usually she would do a craft in the morning, and then in the afternoon it would be more of a hands-on with the animals, whether it was with the education animals, or maybe they watched the keepers spoon feed the wolves, or they watched them do a program with our eagle. And then in the evening we would do like maybe zoo tours or some meet and greets with our education animals. So every single day she's doing 3 programs on top of those Wildlife Wednesdays, and for those we bring different groups into the zoo. So Bay Beach Wildlife Sanctuary, Boo Bolts comes in, Schlitz comes in. So these are groups that we bring in, and they kind of do a bigger presentation with their animals to give people just a view of different things that they have and can bring in too. So really great job last summer, and if you are friends of the Oshkosh Zoological Society, that Facebook page, Kate, our zoo education coordinator, puts everything on there. Everything she's doing, she posted the Wednesday before the following week, so moms will call or caregivers will call and say, oh, what's going on next week, and they can go to that page and kind of see everything that's being offered every single day. So really great summer in the zoo, and we plan to just keep on moving upwards with that too. So and then at the bottom there are Brews on the Bay. So as you can see, the total volunteer hours for this, what we call 11428, our special events account, it was almost $20,000, which is humongous help to be able to run all these events with the amount of staff that we have. So we certainly could not do it without our volunteers out there helping us and getting us through all those big events. So and 14,943 participants with just the special events alone. Visitors at the zoo is 90,457. That number is usually a little bit closer to 100,000, but because we had to hold Zooming off-site this year at the Leach, due to the construction in Menominee Park, we also had to host our Brews on the Bay off-site. So that number up there is not included. You know, if you look, if we add that Zooming and Brews in the Zoo into those numbers, that increases that. So next year, we'll be hosting those events back at the zoo with the construction project hopefully finishing up in time for the fall. So, but lots of great events that people really enjoy coming to, and so yeah. Any questions on that one?
Nice job.
Great.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, staff reports.
Mine will be brief, but I finally have some good news on the Lakeshore Park Four Seasons building. We have officially started to accept reservation rentals there. We had our strategic planning for city staff last week, and we also had a focus group from some businesses and community members. We had a focus group for our strategic planning. We held both of those at Lakeshore. And then the Common Council, the first week of March, with department heads, is our strategic planning session for the day, and we'll be having it out there as well. So we are getting a lot of rentals. They're coming in daily. So if anybody's interested in renting that, what they should do is call our office at 236-5080. Because of the specialty nature of the building, we're not accepting reservations online for that facility right now like a typical shelter would. There's a lot of things that certain rules and other regulations that we have to go over with everybody. It's a little bit different of an agreement that we have them sign, and we're having them pay at the time of reservation, just because we know it's going to be heavily requested, and we're not going to be holding it for individuals. So it's going very well, and we're excited to let the community start using that facility. Just to give you an idea on the rental fees, which this board actually recommended and the council approved. But if you're a City of Oshkosh resident, a weekday rental, and this is, the rentals go from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So a weekday is $236.25. A weekend and holiday for city resident is $288.75. Non-resident weekday is $288.75, and then a weekend holiday for a non-resident is $341.25. So as this group recalls, we wanted to make sure that it was reasonably priced because of we wanted to make sure people had equal access to have use of the facility and access to the water, and something that they might not have availability to in other areas or at their home. So we're excited. I think it's going to be very well received, and we're looking forward to getting it utilized. So
Great news.
Yes.
Turned out nice.
that's all I have.
All right, well, then Chad, you're up.
Well, it's nice to add on some positive stuff here
Yeah.
too that we have with the Lakeshore programs and all that stuff. And I think over the past couple of years, as you know, we've been a year and a half, we've been developing the new bear and fox exhibit at Menominee Park Zoo, and obviously with some of the challenges with other construction items in the Menominee Park, things have slowed the process down a little bit, and some material wise, but it's safe to say that we're going to have a good exhibit to be opening up hopefully later this spring, early summer, and having our existing red foxes being transferred over to the one portion of the exhibit, and then we are in the process of locating 2 new black bears to come in. So I think it'll be an exciting exhibit to see open down there, and hopefully it'll extend our attendance at the zoo as well, and we can offer some additional education programs with that as we get into it. But we have a lot of landscaping work to do here in the spring, and we're hoping this great weather stays with us until we can get that all done. So hopefully people can come down and check out the zoo here coming this spring.
So what are the bears' names? Chad and Ray? No.
Good idea.
That would be a good idea, right?
No.
No.
Thank you, Chad. Travis?
Mine will be brief. We're just working on getting 150 trees ready for the spring planting, and then we are in the process. We're able to contract out another 220 dead ash trees to get removed off the terraces and off the streets. which should be the last ones, hopefully, that are dangerous that we're not going to be treating. We are going to be treating, I think it was roughly about 140 ash trees throughout the city this spring, so.
All right.
And that's all I got.
Thank you. All right, and Jenny, you're up again.
All right, so this Saturday, we are hosting a Let's Go Crazy dance party over at the recreation gym. So again, working with Cable, the recreation supervisor over there, and we're kind of partnering with them to do an event over there at the rec gym. So that will be Saturday the 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. This was originally scheduled for January, but it was that weekend we got all the terrible snow and wind and had to cancel. So hopefully we'll have a nice Saturday and have a bunch of families and kids down there for that. So it should be fun.
Thank you. All right, anything else? All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Franz,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Millet,
Aye.
Hudak.
Aye.
All right, motion carried 5-0.
All right, and our next meeting will be March 11th.